Yo, what's up, guys? It's Vox Dokudo here, and we're going to go over a few of the things that I have to talk about for the recent playtest I've been playing here from the 5th of October to the 10th. It's currently the 6th of October, and before I get my gaming session in, I just want to cover some of the notes on my first day. So, on my first day here, it looks like the first note that I took here was the gold doesn't auto stack when you're transferring it from your inventory to from the shop to your inventory, or when you sell things. The gold gets in separate stacks. Basically, when you sell one item, it creates its individual stack, which is like 18 gold, 50 gold, and if it's more than 100 gold, it creates multiple stacks of 100 gold. So gold should definitely be stacking higher. I really don't see the point in creating gold bags to further consume more inventory space for just a currency. Which is incredibly confusing, and I'm not sure why that design choice was implemented. It could definitely be done in a simple way, which is kind of weird. The same issue with Diablo 4 with inventory consumption. For some reason, there's this concept around limiting the player's inventory for some unknown reason. I guess it creates more of a barrier to entry as far as inventory management is concerned, but it doesn't actually benefit the player in any way. So I would say maybe the gold could be stored in a separate currency or per character, or the gold could be stored, throughout all the characters, which honestly would probably be best. Characters having their own individual storage is still really good as far as building items around that character, but the characters having their own individual gold and currency when it's all shared in one account, that doesn't really make sense. So that's my first point right there I wanted to cover. So the second point is there's not really enough portals. So I found myself oftentimes being just the last team alive in a match, multiple games. I was able to get to the end of the match. I found myself multiple times having to run around aimlessly with enemies and everything like that, and especially like when the circle is closing in on a boss area, which bosses are pretty much impossible to do unless you're really geared. If you get hit once or twice, you're pretty much dead, so you have to literally dodge every attack. So it doesn't really matter how much health the boss has. Basically, the health is just a determination of how many times you have to dodge the boss's skill shots. It's not really a determination of skill once you learn the boss's ability rotations. It could be a lot more easier. The boss health could definitely be cut in half. The bosses definitely have way too much health. But moving on to the next point. Green orbs. I like the idea of having green orbs placed around the map, but I think the green orb placement should be random and not in a fixated place, because then other players or experienced players could take advantage of that and sort of like congregate around that area. That's definitely something I would like to look into there if the devs are interested in that. I'm going to make a post in the feedback and playtest feedback in the Discord, so you're going to see a post there following the end of the playtest. Following the end of the playtest that's currently taking place in October. But I think that the green orbs not only should be placed randomly, but I think that the green orb should also AoE heal. So it takes a minute to consume the green orb. So you walk up to the green orb, you hit G, and you consume the green orb. And it does this little green explosion, which it would be very aesthetically pleasing if you and your team sort of huddle around it, and it exploded and slightly healed everybody, even if they reduced the healing of the green orb. It would definitely be much more aesthetically pleasing if the green orb just healed in an AoE, a small AoE around it. It would be really cool, and it would be very aesthetically pleasing. Moving on to the next point, the combat mechanics for the attack move or target attack mechanic for using attack move click, or just right-clicking your opponent. I noticed that right-clicking the target and right-clicking to move was much more responsive than using right click to move and using the A button to attack the target. This led to an issue to where this led to an issue to where sometimes when you had extended range, you would actually attack targets that you couldn't even see over the walls. which was very interesting. What I really wanted to cover here was basically I'm a really, really big connoisseur of the attack move click, AD carry sort of mechanic lifestyle. I really, really love that specific play style. So there is a little bit of bias here, and I am a little bit more critical about this. But I really, 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 really want to emphasize on how important it is to polish the mechanics and gameplay and not have an auto-targeting system. It feels more like a mobile game with the targeting system that's currently implemented. They may be going in the direction of mobile gaming because, obviously they want more money and that's a bigger market. The PC market is a very specific niche market at the moment, and developers do make more money making mobile games. But I will say that they should create separate combat mechanics for the mobile players and the PC port. So right now the PC port has a mobile MOBA targeting system, which is very interesting, and I'm not a huge fan of it, but it has a PC mechanical and key binding system. And also, at the current state of the pre-alpha, you can't currently rebind your ability keys. You also can't rebind your attack move click, which I think is a very simple UI UX addition to the game. And I feel like with the proper effort and time, you could definitely sort of go through and polish. It also feels like the specific people in charge with developing the mechanics of the game may or may not have extensive experience playing MOBA games, which may be the reason why they're reaching out to the community and the players for playtest assistance, which, by the way, is just like free playtests and feedback. But it's still fun to have the players engaged. But I really, really, really want to emphasize on how absolutely important it is to fix the combat and the mechanics and the gameplay in general. The gameplay needs to be cohesive. It needs to be polished. That should be the first thing you work on as a developer. And the textures and all the unique models and all of those things, those can come later. But if a gamer is playing a character, he's piloting that. It's like piloting a mech suit. It's like you're inside of that character, and the buttons and the mechanics and the gameplay is the only avenue in which you can express your thoughts through the character into the game. So I was just thinking that would be a good addition to the game. If they put a little bit more effort into the mechanics, it would make it so much more replayable for me personally, and for probably thousands of other League of Legends or MOBA players. And it looks like they're getting a lot of insight from League of Legends players. And so as a League of Legends player, coming from years of League of Legends, since Season 1 of League of Legends, I'm very experienced with the growth of League of Legends and the combat in general. And the reason I play League isn't because League is necessarily a really good game, but I play it because it feels good to play. It's fun to come back to. Once you learn how to play, it feels good. It's very responsive. The spell animations are very clear. The silhouettes of the characters are very clear. And that's another thing I wanted to touch on, was the silhouettes of the Druid and the Warden. It basically looks like the same splash art, just with a different hue of color, and the characters have like different weapons. And also the Stoutheart characters are very different thematically and aesthetically, and their silhouettes are very different. You have the Word Seeker, which is a two-handed axe, looks like a female character, warrior, barbarian. And then you have the Hearthguard, which is a really big brute with one giant axe, and it's got like a blue background. And the Ward Seeker has like a red fiery background, or like a theme. And so it's just like even though they're from the same faction or sort of the same race, they're very, very different thematically. And the silhouettes of both are very, very clear. So when you see Hearthguard, it's Hearthguard. But when you see a Druid or you see a Warden, you're not 100% sure if it's a Druid or a Warden until they use their abilities, or they throw out a plant, or one of them's like kiting you with a bow and arrow. It's not very, very clear until they're right on top of you to see who they are. Even the sound effects sometimes is just like very similar, even though they are wild elves. But the Stoutheart, the Ward Seeker, and the Stoutheart Hearthguard, they are both Stoutheart, and they are still very different, which is a huge deal. But also having, not only that, the beginning characters they have, which is a Lightning Caller, which is the Dragonkin with Dragonkin race, which doesn't match the Dragonkin in the lobby, ironically. But moving on from that, I just want to say that the races that they have available to play is already limited. So it's like you have 2 Stoutguard and you have 2 Wild Elves. So it's like they could have really expanded on like the world, the lore, and the racial aspect of the game, but instead they put 2 of the same race twice, which probably wasn't really a good creative choice so far, but it is in the pre-alpha, so these things are subject to change and everything. But I'm just giving my feedback, so hopefully somebody would hear this and move in the right direction for the player base, because the players are going to be the ones spending the money. The players are going to be the ones playing the game and creating the communities, and the game has to be polished. It needs to be prepared for this, because whatever issues that they have now, it's going to be multiplied when the game goes live. So that's all I'm saying. Moving on to the next point. Potions don't stack enough. The healing potions should 100% stack to at least 10. And also moving the equipment from your inventory to your potion utilities button slot, which is the T key by default. You can't rebind that, but moving that to your potion slot and moving it down is the only way you can change your potions. Now I do see that there is another potion slot that may be locked in the pre-alpha, so they may be adding 2 slots, but you'll probably be putting 2 potions in both of those, or a potion and a bandage in one or the other. But the only thing that made it very difficult to play was in the middle of a fight. You definitely are going to use up to 3 potions, and you can craft hundreds of them easily with the materials that you find in the game and the extraction. And so what's the point in having so much limited inventory space when you can only stack up to 3, and you can only craft up to like 30 or 40 potions at a time without having to move it into your storage and then craft more? That doesn't make sense. I think that the amount of potions you have on your toolbar could be limited to at least 10, but I really don't think that in your inventory the potion should have a limit any more than 100. That doesn't really make sense. It makes the game more grindy, more tedious, and with the potions and everything like that, elixirs and everything, even it doesn't make sense to limit the stack if you can only have 1 at a time. So you can bring multiple stacks, and also in an extraction game, you want plenty of space so you can take more items with you. And this is just one more padding that seems to be added so that the player can have some sort of illusion of sparity, of like sparingly using their inventory to manage their inventory or something like that, but sparingly using your inventory and resources to manage an inventory that's needlessly cluttered with the stacks of the same item just so you can survive it to the next extraction, just seems a little monotonous to me. So I'll just move on to the next one. The bags on the ground drop from the monsters. This would be a super cool addition if the bags on the ground that were dropped by monsters had a rarity glowing effect coming out of the bag, indicating the rarity of the item inside of the bag. I think that would be an awesome addition, and it would make the game more colorful, and it would make it more like, it would give more dopamine to the fighting and the conflict you have over these resources. It would definitely give a lot more fighting and stuff. Like it would make it feel more meaningful if there was a bag of like a legendary gear sitting on the ground, or purple gear, epic gear or something, and another player group walks up and you have to fight for the bag of legendary gear. You don't know if it's a legendary potion, you don't know if it's a legendary ring, you don't know if it's a legendary helm. You don't know what it is, but you know in that bag there is a legendary item, and you are going to be able to use it in your own way. And if another team is contesting you, it makes it so good. The clips, the replays, the footage that will come from that contesting that would just, you know, compound on itself. That's all I'm saying. I think it would be really cool. The scrap bags are cool. I like the stitch effect that they have. But I'm just saying that, you know, those bags would be super, super cool if there was like a glowing effect on the bag, sort of like, you know, in Diablo, where the weapons glow on their based on their rarity in Diablo 3. I think that's super cool, and the names and everything is the same color and everything. That's super cool as well. Also, I didn't see any legendary gear, and I spent 12 hours playing the game. I didn't even see it in my shop. So that's another thing, is maybe increase the legendary rate. And, you know, in the game it says 30% increased drop rate for items, but the highest item that I could find in the shop and find in an extraction with my team was purple. And I had to buy the purple items from the shop to get those. So that's all I'm saying. You know, after 12 hours of playing, I didn't run any legendary items. I was looking forward to hopefully getting at least one on my first day, and it doesn't look like that was going to happen. So I'll try again today, but I'm not going to play for 12 hours. But I might play for, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours and fill it out, see what's going on with it, see what changes they made in the last 24 hours. But besides that, you know, I'm still looking forward to just playing the game and seeing the developers grow, seeing the game grow, and seeing them learn how to properly equip their players with the right interface, the right button mapping, the right interactive gameplay, you know, balanced gameplay. And the replayability comes from the theoretically procedurally generated gameplay as well. So that's all I'm saying. You know, you want to make things random. Everything currently has like a finite place, a finite spot, like the drill. That's a really cool concept. I don't know if they plan on making the drill like randomly placed around the map. That would be super cool. Or the enemies could be random instead of just a fixed enemy in every position, so you know where they're all at. That could be random, because sometimes it makes it difficult to get to the opposite side of the map whenever specific enemies are in larger quantities on the outer edges, but you get a quest to take those enemies out, but most of the players spawn around the outer edges. So you're having to fight through the players just to complete a simple tier 4, tier 5 quest, and then you're forced closer inward away from those mobs and those enemies as you move closer in, or sometimes the population may decrease or increase in certain monsters, and you may not need, or you may need those monsters for a quest. I'm just saying, you know, procedurally generating the majority of some of the collectibles, or the enemies, or the health, or the, you know, the red orbs that give you haste, the charge, or the haste orbs. Those procedurally generated, the game will be super fun, because you never know what you're going to get. And that's another thing about the blast cone, the blue things that bounce you whenever you hit them. Those being procedurally generated would be nice. Having them in a fixated spot is also really, I mean, it's not really that bad, but having them in random positions could create an insane amount of replayability, with hopping walls, or escaping fights, or getting away with your stuff, or jumping over to get a portal while the other person runs around to open a wall, or something like that. That could seriously be a really cool mechanic. Another thing, moving on, is the food is not attached to the plate in the main lobby. This needs to be fixed. This is top priority. I can't believe this happened. I'm just kidding. This has been Vox Dokudo. I'm telling you that I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm just giving my feedback, and I hope you guys really enjoy the playtest here. And just want to let you guys know, I also stream on Twitch every day. I'm probably going to stream right after this video, so go check out my stream at Vox Dokudo TV. The link is in the description below. Also, I wrote a book recently, so if you want to show your support, the book is free if you are downloading it on Kindle. You can go to that in the link below as well, and check out my other social medias and follow to keep updated with other videos and other content that I'm going to be releasing. If you want to share your opinion on any of my videos, just go ahead and leave a comment below, or comment on one of my posts on social media. And I'll see you on my next video. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, we're in this game and journey together. Stay awesome, and I catch you on the flip side. Vox TV, out.